my guest today. This is Joan Anderson. We're in Joan's home in Hebron, Mississippi. I'm Perry Parker. This is Entrepreneurs in Mississippi. I'm here with Joan Anderson, who is, along with her husband, is proprietor of CJ's Seasoning.
Cedric and I purchased a mobile concession stand. We had it retrofitted to be the first commercial mobile concession stand in San Antonio that offers fresh seafood. Initially, when I went to the health department to tell them that's what I wanted to do, they said, "You're crazy. They're never going to approve that, selling fresh seafood, shrimp, fish, from a concession trailer, no."
In San Antonio, Texas.
In San Antonio, they told us no. So I said, I've worked in the restaurant industry at that time about 10 years. And I told them I knew what the requirements would be. Let me show them what the design would be if there were any changes. We follow whatever changes they told us, and we did that, and they approved it. We had the concession trailer custom built, and we opened. It was called CJ's Southern Fried Catfish was the name of that business. Because it was mobile, we could go anywhere in San Antonio. We were certified as concessionaires on all 5 military bases for that.
Why CJ's? Where does the name come from?
Cedric and Joan.
There you go.
CJ Southern Seasonings. So Cedric, Joan, and it's a family affair because when you look at our website, our granddaughter's face is the first face that you'll see on our website. Our grandson, we have Cedric is not here, of course, because he has a business as well. He has a trucking business, a commercial trucking business, which is called Evan Ray Transport, and Evan Ray is our grandson. So it's truly a family affair. The seasoning, the label on our barbecue rub was photographed by our daughter Kristen. And Derek, he is our unofficial, I think he calls himself, he's our son, he calls himself our unofficial vice president of the company. How he has that title, we're not sure yet.
He just appointed himself,
yes,
but that's
yes.
good. I can understand that.
Yes. My love of cooking came from being a child. My mom was a single parent, and what we had to do was my sister and I would split duties. One would have to clean, the other one would have to cook. And my sister hated cooking, and I hated cleaning. So on the weeks that it was my time to clean, I would switch with her. So, and I've been cooking since I was about 7 years old. I used to stand on milk crates in the kitchen so that I can stir pots.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but CJ's Seasoning, fish batter, is a big part of what you do at CJ's Seasoning. Does that go all the way back to Natchez and your childhood?
It does. I would watch my mom and my aunts, my grandmother, mix cornmeal in a brown paper bag. And then you wash your fish, put your fish in that bag, shake the bag. And I began my restaurant career actually when we were living in Japan. I was working initially in the main exchange, the BX, and the electronics department, and the supervisor position came open at this little small restaurant or a bread bakery called Bake and Take, which is why I called my CJ's Bake and Take. But they had a position for a supervisor. They had one American, which was that position, and all of the other employees were Japanese. And I applied for the position, was accepted, and I started working there. So when I got there, the intentions were just to be there long enough for the rest of that contract to work out, and they were planning to close it. But when I got there, the sales started to grow and grow and grow, and so they renovated it, and it's still open. After that, they promoted me to the food court as the manager of one pizza restaurant. Got there, sales started to grow and grow and grow. They put me in charge of 3 pizza restaurants. Then they moved me back to the main exchange and put me in charge of the food court. And I've just been in food ever since.
Clearly you're excited about this, and you talk about, I was here, I was promoted. You talk about the good things. Look, that's a tough industry.
It is.
Fast food, food service, not only just food service, tough industry. Maybe you share a little bit of the tough times or tough example, and how you took that and were able to go forward with it.
When I got here to Mississippi, the managers, this was my toughest acquisition, because these restaurants in Hattiesburg were really rundown restaurants.
Right.
And Burger King put they gave our franchisee an opportunity to buy these restaurants because they wanted to protect the brand. And I was initially supposed to be in Jackson, Tennessee with this franchisee, and he asked if I would move to Mississippi, and I said yes. I said, what part?
Moving
he
home?
said Hattiesburg. Yes, I was happy about that because we're 2 hours away from home. So in 2009, we relocated back here to Mississippi. When I moved back to Mississippi, which was very important to me after Cedric retired from the military, was for me to come back to Mississippi. Initially, I didn't know why. All I knew was 10 years in, I told him I wanted to move back to Mississippi. And he said, well, what are we going to do? I had no idea. I absolutely had no idea, but I knew I wanted to be here. I wanted to be here because Mississippi is our home.
Sure.
And I feel like whatever was drawing us back, it was going to be something that was going to make an impact. And as it turns out, we have CJ's. Even though I don't own the Burger King restaurants that I work in, I believe every day that I make a difference, and I'm able to be involved in the decisions that help shape some of the employees' lives.
I hear someone who's incredibly competitive. Am I wrong to say that?
I don't know if it's competitive. My thing is that I believe that people should have an opportunity to be the best.
It's got to be tough for you because, Joan, you're different. I've met a lot of people. I haven't met a lot of people like Joan Anderson. So, I want to continue on what we said, but I think a lot of people watching, and I know my family, I've described Joan so much, they're excited about seeing this and learning a little about Joan, but Joan's got a lot of things going on. So there's CJ's Seasoning,
Yes.
which is a growing business, and how I met Joan at Maters and Taters on Highway 49. I got to get on a little plug.
Yes.
Right out of seminary,
Always.
which is a great place. And so I met Joan there and learned about CJ's Seasoning and became a client and became a customer. And my brother loves it now, and so he's interested in learning more about Joan. But Joan is not only doing CJ's Seasoning, she's running Burger King's, and there are other businesses and businesses starting. So as Joan skips around here, she's got a lot of different things going on. How do you relate to someone who's just like, man, I got to pay the bills and I want to work 8 hours and go home? I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I think in my case, I watched my mom, who would go to work. She worked at an international paper company when we were kids, and she would work 8-hour shifts and come home because she was a supervisor. The phone would ring, somebody didn't come to work, she has to go back. My grandfather he owned log trucks. He owned 5 log trucks. He was one of the first African American men to open a gas station in Louisiana when we were kids, and that was such a pride thing to be able to go over. And though they did not want to teach us how to change oil and change flats, my sisters and I learned how to change oil and change flats on cars because we wanted to go work at Daddy Bill's gas station. My entire family is just a working family. All of my sisters and brothers, none of my sisters and brothers have jobs where we work 8 hours.
You've done business all over the world in the food service business, literally all over the world.
Yeah.
You're back in Mississippi. You're making restaurants work. Tell me some of the differences in doing business, and maybe there are or maybe there aren't any, but doing business here as opposed to other places you've done business.
People ask me all the time, well, can't you get your seasoning packaged somewhere else for a lesser price? I probably could, but here's the important thing about having our seasoning packaged here in Mississippi. One, I want to be able to impact the state and the area that I live in, which is why I moved to Mississippi in the first place.
Right.
Two, when I sat down across the table from Charles McCafferty down at Blenco, when I was trying to design my label, that the information that he gave me in order for us to be successful was tremendous. And the one thing that he told us was make sure that you put Mississippi's own on your label. He said, because people will ask you, where are you from? Where was this made at? And when you can tell them that you're a local person and this is a local product, you'll get more sales. I did not realize exactly how true that statement was until I did my first demo in Mississippi. And people say, well, where are you from? Mississippi. And they start picking up bags picking up bags. Everywhere we go, one of the first questions people ask us, where are you from? And it's a pride thing to be able to say I'm from Mississippi.
It's a sense of place.
It is.
Restaurant industry is I don't know, I know there's a correct term for it, but it's a gateway. It's a first job for so many young people. I know in my family, I have two nieces who grew up in Florida. They worked in McDonald's, and they've gone on from there. I bet you have hundreds of stories, if not thousands of those.
I continually get, each year I get at least one or two people from 10, 15, 20 years ago who will send me a text message or an email or contact me on social media who have worked in my district or in my restaurant and say thank you. I have one young lady who I worked with in San Antonio. She was a restaurant manager who we had to make a difficult decision to part ways with. And for a long time that stayed with me because I liked her as a person. She was an honest person, and I think she just got caught up in a bad situation at her particular restaurant. And it took about 6 years for me to reach back out to her after that. When I reached out to her on social media, I made up in my mind that no matter what she said on social media, I was going to be okay with it.
Sure.
When she responded to my friend request, she told me how much my parting ways with her at our organization impacted her life in a positive manner.
The business I come from, scaling, it was all about scaling and growing. You mentioned being in Dallas. What about sales persons for CJ's? Is that somewhere you would go and have someone else selling the product and far and wide, so to speak?
I would love to go to have our seasoning sold worldwide. And my thing is that any avenues that I can help to facilitate that, I'm open to having those conversations. We Kroger, we're hoping and praying that it becomes a reality. When we did our demo in Kroger in Jackson, the meat market director who's over all 5 states for meat market purchasing says that he wants our seasoning in all 5 states. So that will be huge for us, and we're looking forward to that, and we're hoping January, February that will take place. As we grow, we're definitely trying to find other avenues and other people who can help us to expand as well. So anything that any person that thinks they can help us to facilitate getting into more grocery stores, more supermarkets, we're looking for those people to help us.
Got it.
Yeah.
Why do you want to do it? You have basically 2 full-time jobs. But let me ask you this. Are there hobbies outside of CJ's and Burger King?
Fishing and family is our hobby. We love spending time together. We usually, when Cedric's home, we have a very limited amount of time as a family. So we do things here in the home that most people probably do outside of the home. We sing karaoke here in our living room. We turn our living room or our library into our karaoke spot. And we think we sound really good. Yes. And that's where it started. We used to go, when we lived in Japan, we would go to karaoke, what they would call spots. We'd go there and sing. And the Japanese people love that. American, please sing. So we would sing, and they used to tell us we sounded great. We thought, who are we to tell them no? We don't. So when we're here at home, my husband, my daughter, and I, and even when we have family come up, everyone comes up, and one of the things is if you come to our house, 2 things you have to do. One is you have to eat, and 2, you have to sing.
What is a life lesson that you know now you wish you would have learned earlier?
I will tell you, this last year, in 2011, I was an avid exerciser, and I started having shortness of breath. Went to the doctor and found out that I needed to have heart surgery. Had 5 bypasses.
Wow, I didn't know that. We are learning.
Yes. I was doing 5Ks prior to having the heart surgery.
You seem so healthy and
because I keep doing 5Ks.
Okay.
I was doing the 5Ks before I had heart surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And when the doctor came in, or the cardiologist came in, the surgeon, to tell me about everything that was going to happen, I didn't hear any of what that method was going to, what the surgery was going to curtail. I didn't hear any of that. I had one question for him, And the only question I had for him was, will I be able to run after the surgery? And he'd been a cardiologist for 18 years. He'd never done 5 bypasses before. I had my surgery at Wesley in Hattiesburg. They'd never had 5 bypasses done at that particular time. He said, if that's what you have your mind and your heart set on, you're going to have a full recovery and you'll be able to. 4 months after having open heart surgery, I did a 5K in pedal. And I've been going since then. On my 50th birthday, I did a half marathon in Atlanta. That was 13 miles, 13.2 miles. My sister keeps saying, don't leave that off. I did that one. And we Cedric and I have completed so many 5Ks, 10Ks since then. My lessons that I've learned over the last, well, I would say since having open heart surgery, is that don't take life for granted. I believe that we're put here for a reason, and I believe that God allowed me to stay here for a reason, and I'm not taking advantage of that. I want to take advantage of that. I want to make my being here matter.
As I think the word could be lover of Mississippi, lover of business and our capitalist system and how it can change lives, and an observer of business on a global down to a local basis. I know you're making a difference in the Pine Belt, Mississippi, and I think our country. So I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time today. Spent a lot of time taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule, and I am so thankful.
I want to say this to you, Perry. For people who are out here, I don't care where you are, but if you're in Mississippi, it is such an honor to be able to sit here and have a conversation with you. I will tell you, when I picked up the phone a few weeks ago, when I reached out to you and I said, can you just come and sit down and have a conversation with me? You didn't know me. You met me for 5 minutes, as you said previously. That meant so much to me. And people say, you in the climate that we're in these days, stick with the people who you know. You'll never grow.
Man, you gotta reach out.
It's a true honor to be able to sit down and have a conversation with you. I really appreciate it, and I hope that our conversations continue. Not just today, not just for this purpose, but moving forward. And if there's anything, if ever you decide to run, if there's anything that you can do, that I can do to help facilitate that, please let me know.
I bet we keep talking. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you very much.